Welcome back to Football Coach. This is our offensive coordinator, and it's episode number 3. We're about to wrap up our first season. New Mexico State was somebody we matched up with their offense versus our defense fairly well, and our defense did not do very well, giving up 29 points. But our offense versus their defense was a total mismatch. Huge talent gap. They had a very talented defense. And of course, we have a really weak offense, some injuries, and of course, there's that play calling issue of a first year coach who doesn't match up with the head coach. And with those penalties, our play calling stinks. And it's showed throughout this season, as we've really only had about one good game, despite the fact that we've got 4 wins as a team. Just one game left to go on the season. But even then, I think 4 wins is already better than what was expected. We do have a couple guys ready to sign on, but neither will sign with us. As we head into the final game, our goals for the season, well, we needed to get 300 yards per game or better. In conference play, we're at 280, and we have one game. So not only do we need the extra 20 yards, but you've got to account for a whole season worth of games. 9 games in all. Times that 20, so we need 180 extra yards on top of 300, so we need 480. Possible. It's possible. Highly unlikely, though. So we might just about get there, but we are 100% not going to get our 27 plus passing touchdowns. That is all about a bonus, though. So it's a $5 million bonus, which would be fantastic for the program. It's not going to happen. We do have our chance to get the other $5 million bonus, though, and that is to beat UConn. That's who we play in this final game. That is our school's rival, which is an unusual one. It's not a natural rival. That is very much just artificially decided. Opposite ends of the country have probably never played each other in real life, or certainly not on any sort of regular basis. Both are 4-7, but we are on the road. That's been our problem all season with this schedule. We had a very top-heavy schedule at the beginning of the season that's tailed off a little bit as the season's gone on. Yes, we have come out with a couple surprise victories, but all of our home games were all those toughest teams, the games you're not going to win, which actually we did win one of those, but then as we've been on the road here at the end of the season with games that should be more winnable, it's been tough to get those wins because the extra added layer of having to be on the road for those games. We're still at a deficit, though. We are definitely the weaker team. We are not the favorites, and we have slipped to last place in points per game. But here we are again with no rush game, no pass protection, okay in the passing game, and with that pass protection, maybe we can do something. We might be able to halt their rushing game, but it looks like their pass game has a pretty strong advantage. But how much do they use it? 47th in passing yards per game. They are what we wish we could be. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to take a really good performance. Defense has hung in there, kind of mid-table, just below average. Compared to other college football programs, but we are literally dead last in scoring and very low in offense. Yeah, it's going to be rough. They're 7.5 point favorites. So starting in the second quarter, we're already down 14-0, and it's raining, which is the worst scenario for us as a pass offense. It means a lot of balls slipping through hands and falling incomplete, or a lot more interceptions as balls slip coming out of the hand of a quarterback and go awry and into the hands of the defense from time to time. Not only are we already down 14-0 and in bad crowd and weather conditions, but UConn is moving the ball. At least we're going to hold them to a field goal, but we are really up against it here as I take over for the first time for today. The bubble screen does work, though, and we are quickly moving the ball halfback stretch. Also working double unders does enough. That's a first down. The inside zone, no. Bubble screen, no. And the slants middle at 3rd and 8 is definitely not going to get you a first down. Let's take that shallow cross. No. 65% chance on the field goal, and at least we're on the board. There is a fumble by the tight end, and we have recovered the ball right at midfield, giving us a chance to take some momentum and actually get back into this thing a little bit. First down after a couple outside runs. A power read option to the outside also works. An inside zone works. As we're going to the ground, that is working much, much better. I think we're close enough now to be able to go for a short pass. Fails, 75% chance on the field goal. This one fails, and there goes our momentum. Massive play on third and very long. Well, third and long anyway. But they are going to end up punting here. Terrible field position, though, as we go to start this drive. 1.5 minutes left in the quarter. Let's go ahead and go up tempo. The outside zone. They're going to use timeouts. They want the ball back. Or we're just going to punt and give them a chance to score again before half. But defense, it's going to get us the ball back with much better field position. There you go. 40 seconds left. 1 timeout remaining. We're still on up tempo, so we're good. Short pass is not going to cut it, though. Let's try the medium tight end under for the first down. Let's go to the medium again, and let's see if we can inside switch. First down, deep curls. No. 16 seconds left. We're out of timeouts. We do not need a Hail Mary yet. We need one more. No, not medium. Deep is pushing it, but we'll go deep without. Slot outs gives you a chance to go out of bounds quite easily. No, that fails. Still 12 seconds. Let's take one more, at least short shot. Curl flats. Hey, there you go. First down. We are at 7 seconds. At the 29, so add the end zone as your field goal markers are right at the back. So that's 10 yards additional. That's 39, and then it's 7 yards for the kick. So 46-yarder. Do we want to attempt a 46-yarder? It's a lot more likely than a Hail Mary and getting nothing out of it. Let's see if we can go special teams. 5% chance. Yikes, our kicker's that bad. It's a 5% chance. I guess we're going for the Hail Mary. Halftime. Okay, we open with the ball here, and they want to give us massive penalties right off the bat. Play action. Comebacks? No. Punt. 3 and out. Luckily, we get it right back in the same manner. 3 and out. Let's try to stay away from... Oh, that's a turnover. That is a sack that results in a fumble, and it's their ball. And they scored. So that's it. That's going to be season done. 30-3, last 5 minutes, end of the game. 30-3. 241 yards. Didn't even get to the 280 mark for the day, even against a weak UConn team. However, passing yards, awful. Why? Rain. That simple. And terrible play calling, weak players, 3 for 17 on third down. Awful offensive performance. You should fire that offensive coordinator. Not good at their job. No sponsor bonuses, and we came up short on the overall head coach objective, but we weren't that far off from it, so we might just get kind of a partial failure on that one. We also weren't last in the conference. We were next to last, 112th overall in those rankings, and that should go a long way to helping progress, especially the 4 wins part. It's going to do a lot. My performance was not good, but overall the team performance was pretty dang decent for a 1-star struggling program, and therefore should get us some leeway on progression. And especially being a brand new coach, we're going to get a lot of extra XP for coming in at that youngest age. Oregon State and Washington State both just barely cracking the top 25 at 9-3. Fresno State, Boise State coming in at 8-4, the next best. And, that's that 4-8's not that bad for our first year. So it's Washington State who finishes as conference champion. Troy, the other conference champion, getting into those last couple of spots. And then there are your playoff teams and your top 25. And to get a bowl game, it's looking at like 6-6 or better, except for just 3 5-7 teams, a couple surprises there. Purdue, a surprise to be as good as 5-7. Florida, and especially USC, surprises to be as bad as 5-7. This year's Heisman was the senior quarterback from Notre Dame. Best freshman was out of Alabama. Best defensive player out of Clemson, and Arkansas had the head coach of the year. First team all conference was mostly all Washington State players. And even on the defensive side, where we actually did some good things, we did not manage to get any players any awards this year. And it's one-loss Michigan who has won this year's national championship over Notre Dame, 17-9. Notre Dame was undefeated till that moment. Ohio State also came out with one loss. Final ranking for the program was 113th. And we were close enough on the expectations that it came out as a slight neutral. And that's a +0 based on our result. So not a negative, but a neutral. But we got a +5 because of the other opinion, as the athletic director was happy with the head coach, and therefore the head coach carries on some of that happiness down to us as coordinator. Wow, look at that fan base, from an F to an F+. Alrighty. So our defensive coordinator is retiring, which means our program could be in some real trouble next year, as he was fantastic. Level 26, he was level 27. He was actually dropping a level simply because he's old as dirt, as one would say. Not that that's actually that old. But our head coach has leveled up. He's now level 22, and I get to level up twice. We gained 2.5 levels in our first year. And going +1 year, you start at the minimum age, which is 30, and now at 31, and 2 levels, we have 2 points. 2 points to a side. And I think it's pretty dang obvious that we need to get better at play calling before we start worrying about being a training aficionado and recruiter. We never need to put points into defense, but we definitely need play calling to get up to a pretty reasonable level. We also get our first skill badge. Now this is going to be really important, and for these you kind of get a random draw. By the way, most of our level up came from simple age. We picked up an additional 450 points, 50 XP from each victory, and 250 for exceeding the athletic director expectations for the year. That trickles on down to us. And with my skill set being offensive genius, we're going to get a lot of these in-game type bonuses. So for one, we just picked up our play calling ability into a +2. But now we're going to start picking up other bonuses. And I think the obvious direction to go for me is one of 2 choices that do almost the same thing for us. Cross the board on offense, and really any position on the field, right? There's 22 players between offense and defense, or just on the field total at a given time. 22. Okay, let's do the math. You got a quarterback, 1 of 22. It's a very small percentage of the players on the field. It's a very important position. It's the single most important position individually, but it's still 1 of 22. Your offensive line has the most players of any of the sets of positions at 5 out of the 22, or 5 of the 11, meaning we can impact an offensive line bonus that trickles down to nearly half of the offense, or nearly a quarter of the entire team, offense or defense. It's bang for your buck. So getting those line bonuses early can make a really big difference. All offensive line can get a +2 to pass blocking or run blocking. I want both of those badges. I can only take one now. We are a pass first team, so we're going to start with Great Wall. So we started the game with a 2-year contract. pretty dang close to minimum. There are no guarantees. Our head coach does not want to renegotiate at this point, so he wants us to just kind of run into that second year. So we have no option other than to be done renegotiating. It is up to the head coach whether we should renegotiate or not. So it's not up to me. And we do have options. We do have options for the coming year. All of the other options would involve moving out of the conference, so to Mid-American, Mountain West, or 4 offers coming in from Conference USA. Now, the only one of these that actually might do something for us is Middle Tennessee. Now, we do have an offer to stay put. I love the feedback here. The offense was all right this year based on expectations, but I'm sure you and I agree more success is possible. And yes, 100% agree with that. Do we want to get into that second year and see if we can make improvements? Now, from these choices, we're still talking about low prestige programs coming after us. What are options out of that? Well, we have a really bad Delaware who's got a lot in terms of facilities. School attributes looks pretty good, but their defense was dead last. Offense was okay. They only got a single win despite playing in Conference USA. Middle Tennessee went to a bowl game. They didn't win. It looks like they didn't win the conference, but they had a pretty good, pretty competitive year. 6-3 in the conference, 7-6 overall. Highest rated offense of the choices here and highest rated defense of all the choices here. Also adds a star in prestige. It's definitely moving up while moving to a smaller conference. Let's see what the offer is. The problem here is that it's very low in terms of school attributes, but it's right where we're at now anyway. So it's definitely a chance to possibly move up. What is their proposals? Well, slight pay increase, but they are balanced run first, so there would not be any bonuses. And for some reason, the athletic director does not like the head coach, though that seemed like a pretty dang good season for a 2-star prestige program. I was most tempted by Sam Houston State, who have the second best offense, fall into that 2-star prestige, but have low school attributes. However, one of those being facilities at 3, meaning there would actually be a +1 in training if you don't get the bonus. I was very tempted by that. They were just 2-10, so it's easy to go up, not back. But they graduated pretty much all their offensive seniors and had nothing left, especially at quarterback. And it looked like they could be in for a real nightmare next year. They could be somewhere down around this level, like New Mexico, and really struggle in the coming year. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to build our profile out a little bit, see if we can build upon what we did. We're going to stay at Sacramento State for one more year. But of course, new defensive coordinator means it's a whole new ball game on that front. We cannot rely on the defense to carry us and get us 4 wins, or at least 3 out of the 4 wins that we did pick up this year. 3.5 of the 4 wins. I think the offense can account for maybe half of one of those wins. We had one good offensive day, and the rest of that really came down to the defense carrying us. But with the retired defensive coordinator, the replacement, just a level 14, 2 levels above us, 1 badge above us. His badges are everybody's a little stronger, and block shedding's a little bit better on blitz plays. He's still 37 though, so he will progress. But the new coach, who had no job last year, does match, so they will get 2 bonus points for the defense. But your options are either a 2 or a 4. So it's a 4 with 2 bonus points, meaning he'll be at a 6. And we just saw how bad a 5 was this last year without any bonuses. Well, it's going to be a 7 in the coming year. So the offense might actually end up outperforming compared to the defense. He will at least offer some training and recruitment bonuses. We've got a good recruiter in the head coach. I'm surprised we are not winning more battles. We haven't signed that many guys just yet. Overall, there was plenty of retirements this year with a much larger set of teams than what I'm used to from the other series. Twice as many. No surprise that we have about twice as many retirements. On the offensive side of the ball, we're not going to lose a whole lot of talent. That's good. There's plenty of defense that's leaving, though. We've got the senior offensive lineman who ended up missing most of the season with the career-ending injury that he had. And then we had a wide receiver and a second wide receiver, both at an 80. After that, we're already quickly down into mid-70s. So definitely not a ton of talent, but so far the recruiting class has not been fantastic, and I'm not that optimistic that we're going to suddenly be better for next year, but we're certainly not going to be much worse. Not very helpful to us, our top safety projected first on the depth chart is in the wants to win category, but for a small program, only having one player leave you is actually pretty dang good. Our best player, our only 80-plus player right now, is our other offensive lineman. He was injured for a good portion of the season. Well, a small portion of the season. He missed 2 games. And next best is our quarterback, who did not have a very good year, though. Completion percentage was poor. That's definitely not a lot of yards, and certainly not per attempt. 59% is not the worst, but I mean, it's definitely not good. But only 7 touchdowns and then 8 interceptions and 31 sacks is rough, but at least he did gain some yards on the ground and not lose, especially despite 31 sacks. And we still have a couple wide receivers ready to progress better than what we had last year. In fact, there's another one right there. So there is some optimism that we'll be in a slightly better state. Plenty of scholarships still to offer here during the offseason. I don't have much of a hand in that, so it should go pretty quickly, and then we'll see what we're working with for next season. In the cuts department, I don't get the standard 3 because that's what applies to the whole team. I get to pick up to 1 without impacting coach integrity. So 1 scholarship that I can cut. The worst player of the bunch and the one position that we've got plenty of players at is already a sophomore quarterback who's just a 64 overall with low potential and not much for durability, is never going to feature, and so we're going to go ahead and cut him, bringing us down to 3 quarterbacks. We've already got 1 high schooler coming in who's almost equivalent as a high schooler, a couple of years younger, so more time to develop for us. The Heisman winner ended up going first in the draft, even though he's only an 87 overall with limited potential and durability. Feel bad to whatever team drafted him, as he might be okay, but he's definitely not going to lead them to to any titles. And the school record book is just all over the place, and I'm actually really not too worried about it, as I don't think we're going to be here terribly long. 1 more season at most, but it's the first year, so all of the player records, all of the team records are all being set in that first year, as the game does not record those on previous years. Or at least certainly not with a new program like us. I think it's across the board, though. The good news as we move into the transfer portion, so for those not familiar with college football or haven't watched the other series, so you have your kids out of high school, and then you have your junior college transfers coming out of community college with 2 years of already college experience. So they come in as true juniors, or the high schoolers who will come in as true freshmen. Your 4 classes, for anyone not familiar with the American collegiate system: freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Graduate after senior year. Can leave before then for one of 2 reasons. You can go to the draft and go play in the NFL, what we just saw a moment ago, or none of our players were drafted, or transfer out, or be cut, which amounts to the same thing, puts you into the transfer portal, where you can switch to a new program. Now, this used to be a really complicated thing where you had to set out an entire year to discourage it. You really only left if it was really not working. Now it's it's all a big game. Moving, so you'll get a lot of instances, like say at University of Oregon. Okay, we were number one in the country last year, but did not win the national championship. I went to U of O, so easy example. Dante Moore was the number one quarterback recruit coming out of high school. But instead of going to a big program, he went to UCLA, which historically was a big program, but it was very much in a rebuilding year, and they were without a quarterback. So as a true freshman, meaning straight out of high school, right? No red shirt, right out of high school, as a freshman, he went to UCLA and started. Had a pretty decent year, but he was also straight out of high school, and so it wasn't perfect. But you could see the talent that was there. He finished up that year, and instead of sticking around and growing and being a 4-year starter at UCLA, who were kind of a minor program in terms of the big dogs anyway, they haven't been in the top 25 in some time, he went into the transfer portal. Oregon picked him up. But they also picked up Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel out of Oklahoma, who was a multi-year starter and one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. One of. Not the, but one of. Gabriel, older, more experienced, bigger track record, was the instant starter. He started last year, but it was also his final year of eligibility. So he's headed off towards the NFL. And in steps Dante Moore, who did play just a little bit, but he did not exceed the 4 games. So Gabriel picked up a red shirt. So now, Moore picked up a red shirt. Dante Moore, now as a red shirt sophomore, will be able to lead Oregon for the next 3 years, potentially. And as he certainly hopes, and so do I, hope that they could get a national championship within that time. So he came out and got some experience right off the bat at a smaller program, and then works his way up into taking over the job at a top program. A lot of other guys do kind of an opposite approach if they're not quite of that highest tier. They will go take a year to 2 years at a top program, ride the bench, get to experience the top facilities, develop, have the best coaches around them, and get better at their craft. Use that red shirt, go through that red shirt freshman year, and then go into the transfer market as a much better player than they had been coming out of high school, and then go pick up a smaller program where they can be the starter for a year or 2 years, and then go back into the transfer market and hopefully get into a bigger program, or go start for 3 years and be a leader and, get a chance, but getting the experience at the smaller program. If you start at a 1-star program with bad coaching, bad facilities, how much better do you think you're going to get? Wait your time, become a starter eventually, but be mediocre. It's hard to develop. So I get it. It's a game. There's a lot of movement, especially at the quarterback position. We are that 1-star prestige program hoping to sign some guys, but there are transfers, and you got to keep an eye on what's there. It looks like our top target now, without me having changed it at all, is a true freshman out of San Diego State, same conference, 3-star offensive lineman who's got a loyal badge, which is a good thing, but here he is leaving their program. He lacks durability, but he does have potential. He's a 62 now, which is decent for a 1-year guy. Did he play last year is always important to pay attention to. He did not, meaning he will have picked up his red shirt this year. So he'll enter next year as a red shirt freshman with good potential and, on track for overall ratings. Not a bad signing, except for on the durability part. But these transfers are not all the same. We're looking at a junior who has not redshirted at any point, a 3-star guy. I'm going to have to reassess our order here and make some decisions on what I want to do player by player. Sad thing is I had a number of high school recruits, 4 of them or so, 5 or 6 even, that I was real big on, that have just been removed from my list. I now have, maybe not. Hold on, there's still a few. Yeah, okay, we got one of our guys here. They got rid of most of them, though. The head coach ditched most of my recruits that I've been going after, that we were close to getting signed, and threw us into a transfer market of a bunch of guys that just aren't that good. Anyway, I'm going to make my decisions. I'll show you what I come up with here in a second. I may change it in the weeks to come, especially if things change, but a couple offensive linemen at the top of the list with high potential, some wide receiver and tight end transfers who can come in and be starters for their senior year and definitely help us be more competitive for next season, and a future running back candidate kind of go to the top of our list. The good news is, after a lot of these guys did not have offers, they certainly do now. So we have added quite a few offers to players that I definitely wanted to go after near the top of the list, but it only goes so far down. And there's only 6 more offers left to use. There was a lot of wasted offers on some really bad high school recruits. I wish I had more control of this. I get it that it's not ultimately up to us, but I feel like I should be able to do a little bit more, just a little bit more in recruiting than we are currently able to do in this offensive coordinator mode. In particular, choosing how to use our pitch. Prioritization, okay, that makes sense, but recommendations on who we offer scholarships to and whatnot, or to recommend to remove 2 guys from the priority list week by week, or 1 guy, like something along those lines. Just a little bit of influence beyond just the simple change priority order. That's the only control I have, and it just doesn't feel quite enough on the control side. Doesn't feel much like our team in the current stage. We're on to signing day, and you and I both don't have much of a connection to the players that we have been recruiting, so we're going to kind of skip straight ahead to what are the results. So let's see what we have. First off, Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan were the top 3 recruiting classes. And this has got to be some sort of AI thing, because even without my input, 1, we only signed 18 players, and 2, dead last, at only 77 on roster. So we're going to be quite a bit short. Not my fault. At least it doesn't feel like it is. Maybe we didn't sign a bunch of guys with F potential and F durability that we would have signed otherwise. That would have made us 137th out of 138 and gotten us to 25 players. I don't know. My number 1 most important position that I was going after was running back, and we end up signing 0 of them. That was on the AI. They took away all the choices that I had. And then the one choice that I was going after still from the high school, they didn't end up offering him. That was the AI. The AI didn't offer a scholarship to the running back who I had like 3rd or 4th on my list. We signed a garbage quarterback, but that's not something I was after. We signed a wide receiver and a tight end. We did get 4 offensive linemen at least. But what a horribly, just really poorly balanced recruiting class of low caliber. The 1 quarterback, not good. 1 wide receiver was somebody that I was fairly keen on amongst the choices, even though he's only a 1-star guy. He's actually a pretty good 1-star guy. Tight end, not a terrible choice. That was somebody we signed earlier in the year. He was okay for the options that were being presented to me. And the 4 offensive linemen. We got one of those transfers that actually, Yeah, no, we got one of the transfers we wanted. One of the transfers I didn't want, who I threw down towards the very, very bottom of the list. Yeah, we ended up signing him anyway. We did get a decent junior college transfer coming in with decent durability and still some potential. So not bad on that one. And we did get our gem young guy. So, 3 out of 4. Not bad. That'll help the offensive line. But really lacking choices otherwise. And like I said, they very much went against what I was hoping for. They didn't offer to the guys. So you can change the priority, but you can't tell them that, oh, right, it's at the top of the priority, we should offer them a scholarship. No, they just offered who they wanted to offer to, period. And then it just hurt the class more because it went against. I'm pitching to guys that don't get offered a scholarship, and then we're not pitching the guys who AI chose to offer scholarships to, which were the ones who were at the top of their list in the first place. We would have had a class of 23 to 25 in the end, but instead it just decimated the class and gave us very few options across the board. Ouch. Pretty ouch. I mean, basically, I got 4 offensive recruits that I was interested in, and that's only because it overlapped with who they were interested in. Still a 1-star prestige program, but at least it picked up. It's almost to 2 stars. I do not. The athletic director will handle the spending and updates, so I will not have any impact on what's happening here, and the school remains at 23 on their attributes. College life is their big bonus. I should keep an eye on that one when it comes to recruiting, though I don't know. I feel like I have less influence than I even thought I had, which was already minimal to begin with. I think that's going to need some tweaking and a minor update down the road. I have no influence over the calendar for the coming year, so it's Ohio State, top team in the nation, Ball State, and Delaware, who will be our out-of-conference games, opening obviously with Ohio State and then Oregon and Washington. So we get the same thing, except for it's going to be on the road. Really poorly balanced, but hopefully this is the offset of last year, the mirror of last year. So I'm really hoping that we will get a more randomized schedule next season, though I will probably be in at a new destination by next season. So I don't know. We'll see. But that is 1 season in the books, folks, and this is episode number 3. The algorithm really comes down to the first 3 episodes, so please take a moment, drop below, leave a comment, click that like button. It really does help out as we proceed with this series. Pretty good so far, but as far as things are going, it's not as many people jumping in as I had the first series on the go, which of course both are going to be active. So that's a lot of episodes, but I really enjoy this game. So I'm 100% intent on going through this one, but as things stand, we might have to move pretty quickly and move up the ranks and get into a very competitive state sooner rather than later, because I don't think that this is going to be a 100+ episode type series as things stand. But again, if you can help with that algorithm, maybe we can get it out there to a few more folks and be able to reach that position. I'm thinking this will be more like a 50 episode type series, if that. So fingers crossed. All right, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for being here. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.